This is a regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, October 19th. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor Mary Young, Solid Rock Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence following the pledge.
That we come before your presence as we seek to obtain mercy at the foot of your throne. We acknowledge that you're Lord of Lords and that you are King of Kings, that you are the creator and you're the giver of life. God, we want to thank you, God, that for the great city of Mobile. We want to thank you, Father, that we yet have leaders that believe in invoking your presence, God, before the time of business. And Father, we ask that you would guide the thoughts and the minds of everyone that's here on today. And Father, we ask that you would look on those, God, and even at a time of bereavement and brokenhearted, God, from the loss of a peer, but God, that you would strengthen this council. We pray, God, for this city of Mobile, for the mayor and for his staff and for all our frontline workers and for everyone that's in the building, that you would touch their hearts and touch their minds. Lord, we know that your word say that except they that build a house consult you, God, then the building is in vain. And except you protect the city, God, then the watchman watches in vain. So we know, the God, that we can do nothing without you. And so we invoke your presence here on today. We pray, God, that your word said that wise men differ, but fools fall out. And God, that we pray that we will operate in wisdom on today in the name of Jesus, that we will consider one another thought and respect and honor one another and enjoy this great city that you have given us. We pray for the prosperity of Mobile. We pray, God, that we will work together, hand in hand, and bind us together with cords of love that cannot be broken. And Father, help us to remember that we represent the people, that they have chosen these leaders, God, to represent, and God, to make great decisions, that this city can be better, wiser, and stronger for everyone that exists in here, that live here in this city. Father, we ask you to continue to bless us and keep us, strengthen us, encourage us. We pray that everyone will remember that they are shining stars, and God, that people are watching, and God, that we would be a light, that others can watch us, and that we will be a delight that will lead others, and that they will be able to follow. We thank you, Father, for this, and that all is done in your Son Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to read a proclamation in honor of Palmer Hamilton. So if you can just, and afterwards we'll have a moment of silence for Palmer. And I'd also say this, that at the request of Council-elect William Carroll, he is asked to be able to sign this proclamation, which has been signed by all the other city councilors. And so his signature, along with mine and the other city councilors, are on the proclamation. The proclamation reads, whereas Palmer Clarkson Hamilton was a native of Mobile, lifelong student of his city's history and visionary for her future, and whereas Mr. Hamilton was deeply committed to historic preservation, individually with others, and through the Oakley Venture Revolving Fund, he restored dozens of structures in Mobile. And his dedication to historic preservation helped to revitalize downtown Mobile and the Oakley Garden District to impact many generations to follow. And whereas Mr. Hamilton was a founding partner of Miller Hamilton and Snyder until 2008, when the firm merged with Jones Walker, where he became head of the Washington, D.C. law office and a partner in the firm's governmental relations practice group. And whereas he served on a variety of federal, state, local, and volunteer boards throughout his career and worked tirelessly to support the Episcopal Church, both locally and nationally. And whereas in his governmental relations practice, Mr. Hamilton brought many projects and investments to the city of Mobile, forged important relationships between elected officials and the city, and mentored many political leaders spanning several generations across the country. And whereas he had many, many interests and felt strong about a wide range of causes and organizations, the Order of St. John was prominent among them. He enjoyed traveling the United States and the world, making friends, new friends, and acquaintances, and spreading the word about his beloved city of Mobile along the way. As the prior for the United States from 2014 to 2020, and whereas perhaps the most cherished honors were serving as father to Margaret Langdon Hamilton, husband to Amy Ross St. John Hamilton, and close friend and advisor to countless individuals across the city of Mobile, state, nation, and globe. Now, therefore, we, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, and members of the Mobile City Council do hereby proclaim October 19th, 2021 as Palmer Hamilton Day in his memory and in his honor.
Mr. Vice President, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in honor of Palmer Clarkson Hamilton, a great servant to this city, to this state, to this country, and to those who suffer from eye afflictions in the Middle East. I'd also like to ask that we remember General Colin Powell, a man who was born to immigrants from Jamaica, who made his own way, first African American to serve as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, first African American to be Secretary of State, a man who spent his life serving his country. A moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Roll call, Vice President Small.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our City Council meeting on Tuesday, October the 19th, 2021. Statement of rules. At this time, I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device, please put it on the off or the vibrate position at this time. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. on the Thursday prior to council meeting. The subject he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item would not be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates the time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. As at this time, if you have any electronic devices, please put it on the off or the vibrate position. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes of October 12th.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody here today. A couple of announcements. The first has to do with reminding everyone of the grant that the City of Mobile received. It was an $8 million grant from Go Mesa funding that was directed to the City of Mobile by Governor Kay Ivey. As for the enhancement of Cooper Riverside Park, it's something that we've been working on for a number of years. We are tremendously grateful for the support that Governor Ivey has continued to show to the City of Mobile. You know, it's only because of her actions that we received the money to buy the USA Foundation property through Go Mesa funding and economic development money 2 years ago. So once again, she has stepped up to significantly help improve the quality of life for the citizens of Mobile. There'll be more to follow about how that money will be spent in the coming weeks and months as we continue to build out the plan for the improvement of Cripple Riverside Park. Later today, we will be unveiling a brand new playground at Walsh Park that's been built by Fox 10 News. So we're tremendously grateful for what Fox 10 News has done to provide the playground equipment, for this park. As we look at it, playgrounds are more than just a place to play. They help build self-esteem in children. They teach them how to work with others, how to get along with others, and it also enhances critical thinking skills to help keep their bodies healthy. So thank you, Fox 10, for taking the lead on that, and I'm sure we have some other parks that need playgrounds. So if any of the other media happen to be listening to this, we would hope that you take heed to it, and we will tell you which parks are available for your support. So thank you very much for that. This Thursday, the city's consultant, CERM, will be teaming up with our city staff to host a virtual community engagement and training event related to the Africatown Brownsville assessment. The City of Mobile received an EPA grant for this Brownfields assessment for Africatown. The goal of Brownsville grants are to work with the communities and local stakeholders to make sure that the areas in question are restored and in a safe and smart manner to be able to be put back into future use. The community involvement is very critical component of this, and so we urge all that are inclined to do so to participate. We have more information about how to access this meeting on our website. It's also on social media, and I think that we have some flyers outside the auditorium today for those who are interested again in that Brownsville engagement. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. That concludes my remarks.
I'd like to piggyback behind the mayor about Walsh Park. Again, I'd like to say thank you, Fox 10 and other sponsors. That park has been neglected for many years, and thank God for CIP that we was able to start establishing funding going towards that park, and with Fox 10 and other sponsors coming in, to play, making that neighborhood even better and greater. Again, I'd like to thank Fox 10 and other sponsors, and as the mayor stated, other media outlets. I have Taylor Park in my district too that you can put some playground equipment at, and that'd be a great news for District 3. All right.
Mr. Vice President, I did have one oversight. I'd like to call on Director Petitions to recognize our firefighters for the last couple of months.
Mayor and Council, it gives me great pleasure to stand before you this morning to recognize our firefighters of the month for the month of August and the month of September. I'll start off reading the August firefighter. The Mobile Fire Rescue Department announces Fire Service Captain Scott D. Carmichael as the August 2021 Firefighter of the Month. Captain Carmichael began his career with MFRD in September of 2007 as a firefighter, promoting to driver in September of 2011, and most recently promoting to captain in May of 2019. Captain Carmichael is the lead instructor for all technical rescue classes in the Mobile Fire Rescue Department. Although he is assigned to the field operations, Captain Carmichael volunteers to be the lead instructor for surface water, trench, rope, and confined space rescue classes to members of the Mobile Fire Rescue Department and Alabama Task Force 1. Captain Carmichael is a subject matter expert for the Alabama Fire College in surface water rescue. He also serves as the coordinator of Alabama Task Force 1 and recently took responsibility for the state of Alabama grants designated to replace technical rescue equipment. Captain Carmichael's work ethic and eagerness to advance the Mobile Fire Rescue Department and the fire service exemplify the characteristics we strive to achieve as professional firefighters. Captain Carmichael is a selfless professional dedicated to the operational readiness of Mobile Fire and Rescue Department. Words and awards cannot adequately represent the appreciation of the City of Mobile or the Mobile Fire Rescue Department. Now, therefore, on behalf of all the citizens and with our sincere thanks, we are pleased to award this certificate of recognition to him as Firefighter of the Month for August 2021. Fire Rescue Department announces Fire Service Captain Michael J. Smith as September 2021 Firefighter of the Month. Captain Smith began his career with MFRD in June of 1990 as a firefighter, promoted to driver in February of 1994 and to captain in March of 2007. Captain Smith is certified as a hazardous material and rescue technician. As a second-generation firefighter for the city of Mobile, Captain Smith possesses an extraordinary amount of passion for the Mobile Fire Rescue Department. Following in his father's footsteps, Captain Smith is currently assigned to Engine 3 at Central Fire Station, located in downtown Mobile. His commitment to excellence and willingness to mentor firefighters has earned him the respect of his peers. His positive influence has a direct impact on the success of MFRD. He is a vocal leader who demands his crew meet the high standards of the profession. Captain Smith exemplifies what we all strive to achieve as professional firefighters and company officers. Words and awards cannot adequately represent the appreciation of the City of Mobile or the Mobile Fire Rescue Department. Now, therefore, on behalf of the citizens and with our sincere thanks, we are pleased to award this certificate of recognition to him as Firefighter of the Month for September of 2021.
In the 8 years that we've been here, we've always asked the firefighters or the policemen if they would like to make any remarks to the crowd, and we've yet to have any of them want to do so. So y'all are in keeping with the rest of the company that's preceded you.
I would like to say that Captain Smith brought his dad down, and it's just a tribute to how important that families are to what these men and women do on a daily basis. So thank you to Captain Smith's father for coming down, who was also a firefighter.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. There are some special guests in the audience who will receive this proclamation, and if they'll come forward, we're going to give you the floor, and we hope that you'll take it when we turn it over to you. And we're going to split up this proclamation. I'll read the first three. Whereas the Baller Dream Foundation is a nonprofit organization that lifts the spirits of children, young adults, and their families who are battling cancer. And whereas those they serve are called ballers, which suggests one is doing and feeling well, in control, resilient, courageous, and deserving of recognition. And whereas they work closely with many children's hospitals, locally with the University of South Alabama Children's and Women's Hospital, providing gifts, experiences, and activities impacting the lives of many ballers and their family while building lifelong relationships. And
whereas Frank DeBlasi was diagnosed with testicular cancer at the age of 29, and he created a great network of support to help fight against the cancer. And whereas his dream was to inspire other cancer fighters to maintain a hopeful and determined mindset, even in the midst of difficult times. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Mobile City Council, along with the mayor of the city of Mobile, do hereby proclaim August 19th, 2021 as Baller Dream Foundation Day here in the city of Mobile, and we urge all our citizens to join us in celebrating this momentous occasion.
terrific. All
You may have the time.
If you can grant me 2 minutes, City Council. Thank you so much, City Council. Mayor Stimson, great to see you again. Jim Delap, thank you for coordinating this wonderful day. I'm getting a little choked up here. As the proclamation said, the Baller Dream Foundation provides all sorts of major experiences and gifts to what we call ballers, not patients. No one wants to be called a patient, right? It's a sad term. And we're incredibly excited about the impact that we make across the country. We are in 6 markets, but most recently, we are in Alabama. Baller Dream Foundation chose Mobile to be a part of what we do and the impact that we make. And we chose it for 3 reasons. 1, you have a great children's hospital here at USA Health. No need to go too far when you have a great children's hospital right here in your backyard. 2, there's a need. I know there's no shortage of wonderful nonprofits here in the community, but what we do and how we do it is like no other. And 3, I'm getting choked up here. I absolutely enjoy being here in Alabama. And even though I'm an Italian from New York, I'm always very welcomed here. But for the most part, I so much enjoy what we do here. We selected your market because the philanthropic history here and the impact that you all have made, all of you here, historically, we picked up on that and we said, hey, we could really make an even bigger difference here in Alabama. And like I said, I absolutely enjoy being here. Emotionally, my heart feels good. I'm not sure physically if it feels great because you all want to fry everything, but we are here very committed to the local market. We have 2 special guests here with us today. Pam Hunter. Pam Hunter is our executive director for the Central Gulf Coast here in Alabama. But a very special guest, I brought one of our ballers. Please give a rousing welcome to Madison Rain. So Madison is incredibly excited to be here, not because it's Baller Dream Foundation Day, but we got her out of an orthodontist appointment. 12 years old, 7th grade, battling cancer. She looks beautiful, right?
Yes.
Looks absolutely beautiful. 7th grade, Girl Scouts, loves, I don't know if you love soccer, but not so much school. She wants to be a doctor, but she has no desire to study for it. So perhaps, University of Mississippi is calling your name. I'm sorry for any Mississippi fans in here, but we are celebrating this beautiful gal and another baller on the Eastern Shore next month. Our next event is on the Eastern Shore. We rotate between this side of the shore and Eastern Shore. Next month, November 14th at the Baller Bash. Yay. Madison will be one of 2 ballers that we will gift, and we will playfully roast before we gift her. Mm-hmm. And we will also celebrate the healthcare heroes from USA Children's and Women's. I thank you, City Council, Mayor Stimson, Jim Delap, thank you. Baller Dream Foundation Day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And before you all go away from the podium, I do want to be sure to recognize Madison's grandfather, who I think most everybody in the city knows, Sidney Rain. Sidney, good to see you. And Shayna. Shayna Giles Jordan, who we, sitting next to Sidney is also Shayna Giles Jordan, who the city has worked with on numerous occasions for years. So thank you both for being here and being a part of this.
Terrific.
Do we have representation from the AKA? Good morning, ladies. Good morning. Whereas Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is hosting the Stay Well Community Health Fair and Vaccine Event on Saturday, October the 23rd, 2021. And whereas the primary objective of this event is to raise awareness about the current pandemic and its impact in our community, as well as increase COVID-19 vaccination rates. And whereas this event will include an on-site vaccination clinic, health screenings for attendees, and media and education stage and panel discussion, all designed to educate attendees about COVID-19. Additionally, an exposition area where various sponsors will offer important health and wellness resources to individuals and families. And whereas this historic event welcomes and encourages families to be proactive in staying healthy during the pandemic. And now, therefore, we, the members of the Mobile City Council, do hereby proclaim October 23rd, 2021 as Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Stay Well Community Health Fair and Vaccine Day in Mobile, and urge all our citizens to join us in celebrating this momentous occasion done at the city of Mobile, Alabama, this 23rd day of October 2021. And I'm looking forward to joining you all on Saturday. I think I'm supposed to be bringing greetings at 10 o'clock a.m. So if you wanted to come ahead and announce to the public and invite them out on this coming Saturday also and everything. But again, congratulations, ladies.
Hello, my name is Sharon Thames, 1616 Urban Avenue, Mobile, Alabama. Hello. To our esteemed City Council and of our great city, and to Mayor Stimson, I am representing Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Theta Omega Chapter. Our international sorority, headed by Dr. Glenda Glover, has over 300,000 members in 1,003 chapters throughout the United States and the globe. Our local chapter, a group of 401 college-educated women, have been serving Mobile and Baldwin County for 75 years. We'll be celebrating our 75th anniversary on November the 22nd. One of our major targets in our international sorority is health and wellness. Since the pandemic began, we made a concerted effort to use our collective resources to help our community understand COVID and its effects. Early on, we held forums of physicians and counselors and educators, mental health professionals, to help us to understand the ramifications of COVID and how to stay healthy during this time. We conducted social media campaigns to educate through entertainment, and we provided financial assistance to over 10 nonprofits in our community who were helping other people deal with this problem. So why are we here today? We're here because we want to continue our quest to educate and empower our community, those who are most vulnerable and least vaccinated. This event on Saturday the 23rd has gathered more than 30 partners, all of you represented here today, to help us to empower our community through this community health event. Our state and local officials, thank you, Mr. Smalls, they are coming to bring greetings. Our former international president will be visiting with us. We'll be providing free COVID tests and vaccines, free dental screenings, eye exams, and a number of other things to help our community, because we have to end this pandemic, and each one of us has a responsibility to do it, and Alpha Kappa Alpha is stepping up to take on that responsibility. And now I want to introduce Dr. Felicia Wilson, who is a renowned physician here in Mobile, and she is heading our health division for our sorority. Dr. Wilson.
Good morning. I am a pediatric hematologist oncologist at USA Health, so I know the plight of ballers like Madison Rain and others who are affected. We want to engage the community to social action, so we are taking the resources to them. Our community health fair will be held at Chastain Fournier K-8 school, so we are right there. We're going to have a panel discussion with 4 physicians who are on the front line taking care of patients with COVID-19 and know very well the status of our community. So if there are people who are there who are uncertain about vaccination, we want them to trust the science. We want to hear their concerns and address those. And we know that the African American population has been disproportionately affected. And so we want them to trust the science and understand this pandemic and how we get to the other side of it. Because I, like you, I'm sure, am ready to stop wearing a mask and social distancing and get back to some of the things that we enjoy doing. So please join us October 23rd. Our panel discussion will start around 10:15. The welcome from city officials will occur at 10 o'clock, and we'll be there until 2 or 3 to address questions with COVID vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all, ladies. Madam Clerk.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on October the 24th in Medal of Honor Park, October 31st in Wildwood Place, and October 23rd at Ladd Peoples Stadium.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Public hearings. Today is the public hearing to consider an ordinance to amend and restate Chapter 64 zoning of the Mobile City Code and to adopt the City of Mobile Unified Development Code.
This is open up the public hearing. If anyone would like to come down and speak on this agenda item, you may come down with your name and your address at this time, please.
Mr. Vice President, I do have a number of people that have already signed in, so if you...
That's fine. You go ahead and
Kurt Matei.
Who's on deck? Who's next?
Oh, and following Kurt would be following Kurt is Kathy O'Keefe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Kirk Mate. I live in the Oakley Garden District at 1211 Palmetto Street, and I'm here today to speak in favor of the adoption of the Uniform Development Code. Most of you all do not know me, but I'm a local attorney. However, I'm not here today to speak on behalf of any client or as some expert on land use or property law. I'm also a relatively new member of the Mobile Planning Commission, but I do not purport to speak for that body. I also serve as the president of Oakley's Neighborhood Association, but I'm not speaking on behalf of our beautifully diverse and historic corner of Mobile. I'm here because I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen of Mobile that has been engaged and interested in this process and watched it play out over the last 4 or 5 years. And I've been proud of the way that our leaders, you, and the city staff has engaged the community and thoughtfully approached the task of updating our municipal code. Now, we can all agree that it's past time to update our code. We don't need specific zoning provisions on typewriter repair shops, asbestos manufacturers, or horse-drawn carriage services. But I do want to address a few topics that I have personal experience with. It has been reported that so-called group homes will be allowed in residential districts under the UDC. This is an issue that I've dealt with personally in Oakley, and it's one that our group has brought before this board in the past. You all may recall Reverend Manzi's leadership on this issue at the Broad Street issue. However, I would implore those concerned specifically with this topic to take a more discerning look at the proposed code and the policy reasons behind the more modern terms in the UDC. This new UDC does not allow boarding or rooming houses in any residential zones. The amendments that are made to this area simply bring the current code in line with the Americans with Disabilities Act and federal case law. Now remember, we have not updated our zoning code since 1967. Notably, the UDC, as proposed, retains the protections that are afforded to Mobile's historic districts. The city's Architectural Review Board, the Historic Development Commission, and the sign ordinance all remain. In fact, the new UDC actually adds requirements for architectural features in commercial developments. However, I believe that one of the most significant reforms made by this UDC has really been somewhat ignored in this process, and that is the requirement of neighborhood meetings. The new UDC empowers neighborhoods by requiring developers who are seeking a rezoning, a planned development, or conditional use to engage the neighborhood and bring them to the table. I've been on both sides of that table, both in representing developers with projects and on the other side is a neighborhood president. And I know how beneficial to both sides that these meetings can be. The truth is that these meetings improve projects, and the UDC sets out a detailed process that requires that these meetings take place. This is a substantial reform, and it's one that will ensure that neighborhoods have a say in how our community is built. Now, I'll close with this. Y'all know the numbers. 150 community meetings.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, 3 minutes there.
Thanks.
All right. Could you give us the next two names, Madam Clerk, and the ones that's coming down, just go ahead and get lined up, please.
Okay, so Kathy O'Keefe, and following Kathy O'Keefe is Bob Chappelle and Terry Harbin.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm Kathy O'Keefe, 5713 Vendome Drive South. I used to live in Midtown. I've lived in District 1 and lost my home to flooding 4 times. Was drawn into leadership 40 years ago over that issue and went to FEMA, to Washington, D.C., to a hearing with our 3 commissioners at that time. I bring this up, it's related to the UDC code, and you'll see why in just a minute. When we were in front of the FEMA officials, our 3 city commissioners tried to convince them that the reason why things got so out of hand in Mobile was because, you know, this wasn't under their watch. This was under previous watches, the things that had happened. And it just got out of hand, and they really didn't understand that. And the head of FEMA just leaned into the microphone and said, "Commissioners, this is your issue. You are responsible. You are responsible." I really think that the next seated council has to be the council to vote. They are going to be responsible. They are going to have to enact it. They're going to be the ones sitting in the seats, hearing people come down and complain or support it, whatever. So I want you to know how important that is, that this code be approved by the next council. Listen, I've been doing this code thing from day one. I was on the council for that 6 years on Envision Mobile, Envision Baldwin, Envision Coastal Alabama, and before that, an activist for the 330 families that got flooded. We have documents even from back in the days of the floods. This is an agreement that the city of Mobile entered into with FEMA. You know, before the pandemic, nobody in this city had a copy of this, even though it's good until 2030. And we almost redeveloped the 3 Mile Creek floodplain in Chateaugay because people didn't know that we had agreed not to do that until 2030. So you have to keep up with these things. And you know, Colin Powell was right. If you broke it, you own it. And we need the new council to own it. We need them to be the ones to vote on this. I'm in favor of almost everything that's in there, a couple of things not, but I really want you to give them a chance to own it. Thank you.
That's well done.
Morning, y'all. I'm Bob Chappelle. The address is 3003 Bryant Road, 36605. I serve as the interim president and CEO of the Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce. We represent nearly 1,700 member businesses. They employ nearly 100,000 women and men in our city and region. I'm here to speak in support of the Unified Development Code. I want to especially thank the mayor's staff and you, the city council, for how transparent and responsive you've been throughout this years-long process of developing the new code. Every step of the way, I think you've heard business concerns and have worked to come up with a solution wherever possible to address those concerns. As you're aware, over the years, each year that the chamber embarks on a city-to-city visit to annually seek best practices at cities throughout the U.S. and the world, and to bring back what we've learned and try to put our own spin on those practices to make our city a better place to live and do business. The UDC provides what we have seen in competitor cities during those trips, a modern and flexible approach to regulating development, having a streamlined approval process which is both predictable and consistent will keep our city competitive in the economic development realm. We're all wise enough to know that no development code, whether it's here or in some other city, will ever make everyone 100% happy. But we're in support of this UDC because it reflects modern practices in land use and planning, and at the end of the day, better supports economic development. So I appreciate your time for allowing me to speak, and thank each of you for what you continue to do for our city.
Thank you.
Terry Harbin, and following Terry is Stephen McHannon and Barbara Smith.
Good morning. My name is Terry Harbin. The address is 9140 Bellingham Court here in Mobile. I rise today to speak in favor of the UDC. Most of you know that I'm a longtime banker in Mobile that recently retired, went into the home building business, building homes for low to moderate income families. We began working with all infill lots in the Crichton area off Mobile Street, Weems Avenue, Fredonia Street. Recently purchased a number of lots in the Hillsdale community. Others have spoken to the technical aspects of the UDC. I'd like to speak to one aspect and one aspect only. As we began 3 houses next door to each other in Hillsdale, which happens to be Councilperson Gregory's district, she placed a phone call to me and said the neighbors would like to meet about what you're building. So naturally I agreed to that. We met in one of the homes under construction. 5 families showed up. They asked all their questions, and 80%, 4 out of 5, were thrilled with what we were doing. They said it would improve the neighborhood, it would help their home values, and of the 9 homes that we have constructed, either in Crichton, now in Hillsdale, it is a win-win. It is helping people move out of Section 8 into ownership. It's helping take formerly blighted properties that the city had identified and put them back on the tax rolls. And we are a for-profit company that pays taxes and license fees in the city of Mobile. I cannot imagine that it would be possible that some of you would have come in today with your minds already made up about how you're going to vote on this. But just in case it is, I would encourage you today to listen to the positive feedback about how the UDC will help the city of Mobile, and please vote in favor of this, because what it gives us as a developer is consistency and understanding of how we can plan a development, how we can build a development that meets the city codes, and how we can provide housing for people that otherwise would not have it. So I ask you today to consider this in a favorable light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Stephen McMahon. I serve as the current chairman of the board for the Mobile Downtown Alliance, and I'm here to speak in favor of the overhaul of the city zoning code, and more specifically, the Downtown Development District. I have to be the first to admit we've probably become a thorn in the side of Ms. Biko, Mr. Rossler, with all of our questions and comments, so I thank you both, as well as Planning and Zoning and Engineering, for your willingness to work with us over the last 3 years. You've all been willing to hear us, and I want the council to know that they have been willing to hear us, have meetings with us, and take our input to heart to ensure the DDD code that governs downtown zoning regs be rewritten in an effective manner. We feel that we've accomplished this goal and are happy to report that. When the document initially came out, there was work to be done to it, and we were able to get that done with the help of the mayor's staff. So again, thank you. To the city council, I urge you to pave the way towards this much needed step forward for the city of Mobile by voting to pass the Unified Development Code. There are great things happening for Mobile and our downtown. This will continue to further advance this effort, not hinder it. This is our legacy, and one that is likely to not be rewritten for a very long period of time. Let's get it right by passing this ordinance. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Following Barbara Smith is Judith Adams and Melvin Jackson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Barbara Knowles Smith. I reside at 912 Knowles Street. I serve as the president of the Sandtown Community Action Group, located in Spring Hill. The Sandtown community has submitted our opposition to the Village of Spring Hill mandatory development codes. We have shared those oppositions with you verbally and in written correspondence. The boundary of, oh, there's a bug. The boundary of Sandtown includes areas north of Spring Hill Avenue and areas south of Spring Hill Avenue. Sandtown is a 501c3, just as the Village of Spring Hill is. The Village of Spring Hill has stated that their boundaries extend to the south of Spring Hill and excludes property north of Spring Hill Avenue. The Village of Spring Hill wants you to split the small, historically black community in half. Half of Sandtown is south of Spring Hill Avenue, mainly Shipes Lane and Monica Lanes. And the other half of Sandtown is north of Spring Hill Avenue, mostly located on Knowles Street. If you have driven on Spring Hill Avenue and McGregor Avenue, you can witness firsthand what will occur if the Village of Spring Hill gets passage of their mandatory codes. It will result in businesses locating directly next door and surrounded by homes that have been in existence for many, many years as a R1 residence, a black R1 residential neighborhood. If you have not seen this area, you need to see it. The black family descendants have lived in this area of Spring Hill since 1845, over 176 years. The City of Mobile and the Dora Franklin Finley African American Heritage Trail has recently recognized Sandtown for its historical significance in the Spring Hill area. Please do not destroy the only black community located in Spring Hill. We are not against business development, but we are opposed to being driven out of our homes in the name of business development. I remind you that this is a continued, systematic, consistent effort by the Village of Spring Hill to eliminate the black community in the affluent, white Spring Hill. As city council members and mayor, I ask you to ponder and answer this question. Why isn't the City of Mobile revised Unified Development Code not good enough for the Village of Spring Hill, and why would it be mandatory? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, councilmen, councilwomen. My name is Judith Adams. I'm the Vice President of Internal External Affairs for the Alabama State Port Authority, but I am also Judith Adams, citizen of Mobile, residing at 5009 Brookfield Drive North, District 4. I come to you today in support of the UDC, both on behalf of the Port Authority, but on behalf of me, myself, as a citizen. I have been working on this process since it was launched in 2015. And prior to that, many other initiatives that have looked to better our community. I think we can all agree that this process has been incredibly open, thorough, transparent, and available to every business interest, citizen, stakeholder group, and elected officials. Just the UDC alone, since 2017, 300 public meetings. an open and interactive public website, community engagement and discussion. I respectfully disagree with a statement earlier that our new council needs to own it. Our citizens own this, and they've been engaged and they've been in waiting and waiting and waiting. We are at a point where we need to pass this code. And why is that important? The port is at unprecedented growth. We're pumping out 27 to 47% growth in a lot of our areas. We are attracting new investment interest. That doesn't say we landed it. I believe the Chamber of Commerce and our economic developers are working over 30 active projects. What does this mean for us? This means that we have new investment, new growth opportunities, new tax base, and new retention of families into our community and new workforce. But failure to pass a UDC and kicking the can down the road presents uncertainty. We just need to do the right thing and finally move on what citizens have been working for the past 6 years. I respectfully encourage you to vote for this code. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Following Melvin Jackson will be Ramsey Sprague and Leela Lowell.
Thank you very much. My name is Melvin Jackson. I am from Spring Hill. I am one of those people that you've just heard about eloquently from Barbara, who has a family that goes back to that 1845. We were members in Spring Hill.
Let's get your address.
Spring Hill Avenue, 3802 and a half Spring Hill Avenue. We are in the center of Sandtown, and this community, as she was speaking of, historically has been from the Cedars. If you go back far enough, all the way to Municipal Park, all the way midway to St. Ignatius School, and all the way to 3 Mile Creek. Our families had the opportunity to build a legacy. I live in the midst of that legacy. The UDC, I stand in opposition of. And the reason I stand in opposition of the UDC is because of an overlay that Spring Hill Village has over our community. This community has been self-determined. Not many people know about who we are in Spring Hill. Mr. Manzi went to school in Spring Hill, had no idea of how long our community had been there. But to delegate the authority of our city council to a group to overlay our community, we feel is draconian. The Gates Group that has traditional businesses on O'Shell Road, those people have been there 20, 30, 40 years. Why is it that they need someone over the top of this group in order to do the right thing? We've trusted them a long time. Our community is older, and they need your protection the most. When people say that we are here, that this is expedient for corporations, and Spring Hill Village has told us that that's who they represent, these corporations. They've not asked us to join. And what we're asking our council to do is to say no and redo this and take out this overlay. We didn't ask for this. Ask the residents. We've been there a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next to that. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ramsey Sprague. I reside at 63 South Fulton Street, near Murphy in District 1. I'm president of the Mobile Environmental Justice Action Coalition, or MEJAC, as it's been called since its founding by Africatown residents over 8 years ago in partnership with regional advocates and environmental justice advocates to address concerns in and around Mobile. I'm also the Mobile NAACP Environmental and Climate Justice Chair. Environmental racism is an everyday occurrence in Mobile, and the UDC represents an opportunity to address the zoning sins of the past that must not be repeated in the future. While we've seen valuable progress in many of our concerns, we still have some fundamental differences. But the UDC's neighborhood meeting standards are thoroughly reasonable and good, and we need them. We feel encouraged by the creations of the UDC's low-impact development and riparian buffer standards, as well as the fact of the creation of the Africatown overlay itself. Unfortunately, the Africatown overlay and other elements fall short of our expectations and in some cases offend the sensibilities of our organizations and partners. For instance, the administration declined to respond in writing about any concerns raised about the Africatown overlay, but not so with other overlay districts, which gives a cursory impression that no concerns were raised about the Africatown overlay at all. But Africatown residents have been engaged over the last 3 years at every public participation opportunity regarding industrial zoning standards and the Africatown overlay, protection buffer standards, and landscaping standards, the latter two of which have improved significantly in our estimation through that process, but the following items represent areas yet to be appropriately addressed. The Africatown Overlay District, which is surrounded by water on 3 sides, doesn't include any provision for waterfront conservation, despite the city ostensibly supporting 2 water-based heritage tourism efforts in Africatown. The proposed water-dependent maritime use exemption to all riparian buffer standards is too broad, and if unchanged, effectively all of Africatown's waterfront will be exempt from potential waterfront conservation standards in future development. 2, the Africatown overlay must prohibit new non-replacement above-ground oil storage tanks and hazardous substance storage tanks in Africatown. If we all agree that we should be past the petrochemical tank farm expansion episode, then please let's just be past it. And 3, in 2017, the current Assessment of Fair Housing report to HUD, the city declared its intent to accommodate and encourage accessible and innovative affordable housing via the then anticipated zoning code revisions, but today's UDC standards are very often divergent from too many of the Assessment of Fair Housing's report's metrics. Assertions to HUD about federal dollars designated for affordable housing efforts in such reports are generally considered binding, and transparency around the lack of alignment is warranted to the citizens of Mobile. In conclusion, the pandemic may have complicated every aspect of life, but the urgency of environmental justice in Mobile has not diminished, and we thank you for your time and consideration of our concerns.
Thank you.
After Ms. Lowe is Cleon Jones and Thelma Owens.
Good morning. My name is Lela Lowe. I live at 2609 Shea Court. To start off, I applaud the massive effort to rewrite a 60-year-old code. There's been a whole lot of work done on this. I've attended educational meetings and planning sessions on the UDC for the past 5 years, made comments, written form, oral form, at many of those. I am also a longtime member of the Mobile Environmental Justice Action Coalition, so my comments have primarily focused on Africatown, with the understanding that Africatown is an environmental justice community and probably the best example of an environmental justice community in the Mobile area. And a zoning code rewrite is the perfect opportunity to address some of those injustices that have been perpetuated in this community, including decades of industrial development that have ended up surrounding the community and have been toxic to the air and the water, contributing to health issues that persist to this day. So when I imagine Africatown as an African-American cultural heritage site and destination, resulting from the massive public attention that has been brought to bear on the community with the discovery of the Clotilda, I imagine what current tourists would currently see are examples of environmental injustice. They would see looming petrochemical storage tanks, chemical plants that emit noxious odors, an interstate connector that destroyed the small businesses that once nurtured the community. Over the past 5 years, I have suggested changes to the Africatown overlay that would indicate that the city values the community and is committed to the environmental justice. Odor abatement regulations such as nuisance vapor capture, riparian buffer guidelines on industrial properties along with an unused waterfront, since the community is surrounded by industry and waterfront, disallow any more chemical storage tanks to be built near the community, and allow unused industrial areas to be downzoned. It's often said a budget is a moral document because where your money goes is where your values lie. Similarly, a municipality's zoning laws are a moral document indicating how you are protecting and assuring quality of life for all of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson.
as we await the next speaker, let me make it clear that I did the effort to pass the laws to cut off the distance that these tanks can come to Africa Town. They cannot come. We've already passed the law. So there's nothing in the code that can give these chemical companies the authority to go inside of Africa Town to set up a chemical tank. We have closed that off. You take a look at Eastern Shore, it's not one chemical tank over there, not one. They're all in the face of Africa Town. So we cut it off, so that's not going to happen. In the zoning code, outside the zoning code, we've already passed a law to shut that down.
To the esteemed council, the head of the city, to which I'm proud to call my friend, Mayor Stimson, I am here in support of the Unified Development Code. I am a board member of the Africa Town Community Development Corporation. I am also the garden coordinator in Africa Town. The city has been very instrumental in developing Africa Town, in helping the cities in all ways that we have asked. As a resident of Africa Town, I respectfully ask that you move forward with the approval of the Unified Development Code. This is an important step. It is crucial to the residents of Africa Town. In speaking, I have been there all my life, 69 years. I can tell you about the industry that has been there, the industry that has left, the industry that we pray every day and night will come. Please, when you make your decision, every official who has anything to do with this, please think about the residents who live in Africa Town and not the outsiders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have Frank Lott and Kate, is it Kessler's?
Now, are we done with the UDC?
This is still UDC.
Still UDC, okay.
Mr. Jones, did you not want to?
I didn't see him, that's why I was...
Oh, he, okay.
How y'all doing?
All right.
First time I spoke, I didn't need these glasses, but now I do. But I'm Frank Lott. I live on 4100 Ridgelawn Drive. I'm a home builder and developer. My business is Heritage Homes. Most of you know I'm past board chair of the Chamber of Commerce and Innovation Portal. But really I'm here just to speak as an advocate for positive, well-planned growth. Like all of you, I want Mobile to be the best place for us to live. I think we can agree on that, whether we agree on this code or not. It's been said many times the code's over 50 years old. It could have been patched, could have been some things struck out, but the process, was complex. It was inclusive, like has been mentioned, and really sets us up for success moving forward. The word consistent, a few people have said, and as a developer, that's really all we want is consistency, which the code does. Success to me means living in a town we love and we're proud of. It's a pro-growth town done smart. It'll strengthen our local economy. It also means we make sure we protect the environment while we still support development, which is difficult, but this Unified Development Code does that. Similar overhauls have been done in successful cities that we consider our peer cities, but we got to keep up with them or they're going to leave us behind. Most of you know I've been involved in several community projects over the years. This one's been the most unprecedented in its community-driven focus. There have been hundreds of small group meetings, opportunities to offer feedback. People from every neighborhood were at some of the meetings I was at, every business sector, every public interest, and everybody had the opportunity to be involved, which is the key to city government. To be honest,
As with anything this complex, I don't agree with everything in it. And I know that there's going to be some things when this does get passed that I'm going to say, I wish that wasn't in it. But if you can look at the big picture, like I've tried to do, as citizens of Mobile, to be the city we dream for it to be, we got to get behind being stuck on one small thing or another and support the UDC. If you step back and look at it, it's overwhelmingly positive for our city's future. I realize we have several serial naysayers who may be against this and other progressive issues, but I want you to think about the future of our city and what a cutting-edge new zoning code will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Cade is Erica Hardy and Herb Wagner.
Thank you. My name is Cade Kistler, 450 Government Street. I am the Executive Director and Baykeeper at Mobile Baykeeper, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of our board, staff, and over 4,500 members, the majority of which live in the city of Mobile. As numerous folks have already stated, this has been a model process for public involvement. Ms. Biko and her team have met with Mobile Baykeeper, and I know hundreds, if not thousands of others throughout this process. We have provided numerous comment letters, at least 5 by my count, as well as had the opportunity to address this council and other bodies several times on this code. And so I'm here today to speak in favor of this proposed Unified Development Code. It's Mobile Baykeeper's goal to have clean water, clean air, and healthy communities for the city of Mobile and the Mobile Bay area. And the Unified Development Code that's proposed moves us strongly in that direction. We're excited to see improvements, some of which you've already heard about: riparian buffers, landscape setbacks, and more specific zoning for a series of different industrial activities that are protective of the environment. As you've also heard from several speakers, it's not perfect, right? And there's a healthy tension, because I heard some that may be more on an economic development perspective who said they're not happy with everything in it, and we're probably not happy with everything in it. But I don't think, as was related in other comments, that we want perfect to be the enemy of done, right? A healthy tension that provides for a healthy environment and a vibrant economy is probably the hallmark of a good zoning code. Furthermore, as I mentioned earlier in my comments, it moves us strongly in the direction of a healthy environment by updating and modernizing our antiquated zoning codes that are over 50 years old. And while it's not perfect, and we still expect to have more conversations to move things like riparian buffers forward, we're excited to see those improvements in this code and feel strongly that the council should approve this code. Thank you for your time and for all your work.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Erica Hardy Jones of 1463 St. Stephen's Road, but I'm a vested member and heir in Sandtown, an area of Spring Hill where I was raised and plan to return. Our concern with the UDC plans as written as part of this historic area of Sandtown falls under the overlay jurisdiction of a private development corporation called the Village of Spring Hill, whose board membership is not reflective of the members of Sandtown. And Sandtown is the area in which they plan to make the most market, construction, and commercial changes. This is where we live, where we grew up, and we do have plans for our communities, present and future, that is not in keeping with some of the plans that have been etched out by the Village of Spring Hill. So, in reference to some other things that have already been said, the Village of Spring Hill overlay also carves out literally a portion where it splits Sandtown in half, but on the north side it includes a portion to the east and it includes a portion to the west. So literally they've just left out a portion of Sandtown where a large percentage of minority residents reside. And that's discrepancy, that's discrimination, and it's not fair. I think we should all be under the city's code. It should be fairly distributed throughout that area, and I think it would be more inclusive for everyone. It would provide for plans that are more transparent, like I said, inclusive, honest, and we want to have an active engagement and active participation in the future of this area. And I don't think that this allows us to do so. So that's why we are opposed to this. You know, there are so many good things about the UDC code for many areas. This just isn't one of them. And I wish that you would, you know, vote it down until we can make the changes that will allow for everybody to have an equal share in the future of Mobile. Thank you.
Thank you.
So is Herb Wagner not here? Okay. Reggie Hill.
This is
Regarding
UDC.
UDC. You have. You had, but you had it on your list of items that you wanted to address. Okay. All right. That's it for UDC that have signed in.
Is anyone else present in the audience that would like to come down and address the council about the UDC? This is the public hearing.
You intend to speak, if you could just kind of make your way to the back of the room.
Yeah, that mic is on up there also, if you want to address from there.
Good morning. I'm Geneva Gales, 925 Knowles Lane.
Can you move the microphone down to just a little bit so we can hear? Thank you very much.
I'm Geneva Gales, 925 Knowles Lane. I really didn't expect to speak this morning. Some of you up there look pretty bored. But, you know, this is a serious situation. I stand for Mobile's codes. I'm for them. I am in opposition to the Spring Hill overlay. Now, I've been there quite a while. As you've heard, my family dates back to the 1870s. I still live on that land. I can remember when my dad had to take a week off work with a shotgun over the door because bricks were thrown through our picture window regularly. People were shot at. The neighborhood, the black neighborhood, was a lot bigger than it is now. But you get passionate, you get really passionate about things when you've lived it. There are a lot of people in this room, they're not old enough to remember those things. I remember. And the neighborhood is shrinking as we speak. I do not want another group to come in and impose upon us these additional or different rules or ordinances. You know, we are we are in as far as the Mobile City codes are concerned, I don't have a whole lot of feedback as to a negative feedback. But I heard our district representative say in the last meeting that there has not been a whole lot of pushback from the area. Now, that's not right. We've submitted paperwork. We've done our work. We've been here. But I just want to say that we'll continue to fight. When I'm gone, my children will continue to fight, and hopefully their children will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak, if you can just make your way down at this time, please.
Hello, my name is Sylvia. I live at 1783 Princeton Wood Drive, West Mobile, Alabama.
Could you put the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth, please? Thank you.
I live at Princeton Woods, 1783 Mobile, Alabama, the west side. But this is my first time being back in the meeting in a while. And I've heard the issues just listening to the people's voice. and also a voice of reason. And I'm thinking about myself coming from an area that was also spoken as the small African town, which I didn't understand. I get some things I don't understand. But I heard the voice of the people, and I also hear a deep concern about justice and about people being given a fair share. And as a woman of God standing before you all today, and my interest in Mobile, I have deep interest in Mobile. Hear the people's voice when it comes to justice. Hear what they're speaking. I heard what they're speaking. And I don't want to leave here today without putting this before God and man. Hear the people's voice concerning justice. It's not about partying, it's not about people being happy, but it's about people being given an equal fare. And I've seen a sign in Mobile saying, I think it said we are all about entertainment or party or something in that sense over there by the water thing. But it's about people. It's about loving people and giving people what is important, not only to you, but what is important to people as a whole. And people want leaders that are willing to look beyond their own selves and see the need of people. I have many needs, but I'm not going to talk about mine today. I'm going to talk about the needs of Mobile because I live in Mobile and I intend to stay in Mobile. There are people in need. There are people that have been in community for years, and I'm not a black and white person. I believe in people. That's been in Mobile for years in that position, and all they're asking for is justice. It's about historical things, yes, because people have legacies and they want to maintain that. And there are places and cities in Mobile I see that people are very concerned about. They build that and build that and build that and let this fall down over here. And I've been in Mobile, I've been in many places. Some places you can go in and you smell nothing but suey. It is a harp, I had to just cover my face. Other you go in, it's so beautiful, you can breathe so well. There is something that needs to be tended to in Mobile. It's about justice. It's about people having full life in every environment. And this is Sylvia as I speak today. I'm here in your very presence, in the Lord's presence. And thank you all for so much in the council. And I'm speaking to each one of you, mayor and everyone. Please bring some justice to every community as much as possible in Mobile and to the hearts of the people. Thank you so much.
Is anyone else present who want to speak on the UDC, on this public hearing? If not, this public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing to consider approval of a project agreement by and among the City of Mobile, Mobile County, and Austell, USA.
The public hearing is now open with this consideration. Is anyone here present that would like to speak upon this public hearing?
Have David Rogers.
How many speakers do we have?
Just one. Yeah, for them.
Okay.
You're good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is anyone else present that would like to speak? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to consider approval of multifamily housing revenue bonds by Public Finance Authority.
This is the public hearing to consider this particular hearing. It's now open. Is anyone present that would like to speak? If so, come down and give us your name and your address.
Preston Boat.
I'm Preston Bolt, 108 Levert Avenue. This hearing is caused by and brought about by the same federal tax law under which bonds can be issued to finance multifamily housing for moderate and low income people. The project that's being acquired and repaired is located at 2001 Brill Avenue. And the bonds will actually be issued by an entity called the Public Finance Authority that is based in Wisconsin, but that does bond issues all over the country. In this case, the bonds will finance, this is a small part of what it's financing. It's financing other projects located in Jacksonville, Florida. So it makes sense to have a single financing to cover all those things. Nevertheless, the approval of the elected officials of Mobile are required both by federal tax law and by Wisconsin law, since it's the location of the project. So I'm available to answer any questions. This is an existing facility that's been there for since 1973. It will have some capital maintenance done after the acquisition, but it's primarily an acquisition by another owner, which is a nonprofit entity that operates low and moderate income facilities.
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Days.
Mr. Bolt, as a result of this transaction, the city of Mobile will have no direct or contingent liability for the repayment of these bonds. Is that
is
correct?
There's no involvement of the city except to meet the requirements of state and federal law.
Thank you.
Any other councilman?
Yes.
Ms. Rich.
Out of the 55 million, do you know how much will be spent locally?
Well, the acquisition, of course, will not be spent locally in the sense that it will not be on bricks and mortar. There'll be something approaching $200,000 that will be applied to capital maintenance items. That will be spent locally, presumably.
Okay. So you're saying there's a facility, and I'm not on Brill. Is that in District 3 or 4?
It's in District 4, down DIP, off of DIP,
okay,
toward Dog River.
And you're saying that the federal law says that the local authority, the council, approves the issuance, does not obligate the city either for the repay or anything like that?
And your approval specifically specifies that it does not constitute any undertaking on the part of the city at all, except to give the approval that's required.
And that's because one of the facilities is located in Mobile?
That's exactly right. Anytime what are called private activity bonds are issued for this type of facility or industrial projects, it has to be approved by the highest elected officials of the municipality in which it's located and in which the issuer is located. So in this case, the facility is located here, so it has to be approved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council members? Thank you. Is anyone else present that would like to speak on this public hearing? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 1490 Telegraph Road from R1 to I2.
This public hearing is now open. If anyone here that's present would like to speak on this particular public hearing, you may do so at this time.
We have Marty Norton.
How many speakers do we have?
Just one.
Just one. And anyone else behind him, you may do so at this time. At that time, excuse me.
Good morning. I'm Marty Norton with Norton Realty. My address is 2551 South Durham Drive, Mobile, 36606. I represent the current owner, Inger Asset Management. This is a building that has been operated as industrial since the mid-60s. And Inger is currently selling the property to Norton Realty. And part of the contingency of looking into the purchase of the property, we realized that it was zoned R1 when it's an industrial warehouse building that's been there since the early 60s. So we went to the Planning Commission to ask for rezoning to get it corrected. It's been, the current operator has been operating as a non-conforming use since the year 2000. And so it is an industrial site, just the zoning is incorrect. And we're trying to clear that up to get the correct zoning for the property. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. Once before you start, we ask if you have any side conversations. We ask that you take it outside this chamber at this time, please. We asking if you have any side conversation. We ask that you take it outside of this chamber at this time, please.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sir,
yes, Ms. Rich.
Can you tell us exactly what you're planning to put on the site?
Well, at this time, we don't have a plan for it.
I
We're
see.
purchasing it as an investment. And the sale, we don't want to buy a residential property that is actually,
No, I understand.
Industrial. And all the properties, the neighboring properties are industrial.
I'm familiar with the map, but I was just curious what you were planning.
Okay.
So it's unknown at this time?
Right.
But you're requiring the I-2?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other council members? Yeah, I would like to say I'm going to ask the council to pretty much, whenever this come up to a vote, to hold this over until about 3 to 4 weeks until the new council person of that district is represented. We have received several messages from the residents, and pretty much just want the residents to sit down with their council person along with you and pretty much just discuss exactly what's going on and everything. So just want to just give you a heads up on that knowledge. That's what I'm going to be asking the council to do, just to wait on the vote until the new council person that represents District 2 be placed in this seat.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is anyone else present that would like to speak on this public hearing? And if you want to make your way, if you want to speak, you come on, make your way down. Okay.
Just for the sake of public transparency, good morning again. My name is Ramsey Sprague. I live at 63 South Fulton Street in Mobile's City Council District 1. Again, I'm with MUJAC and the Mobile NAACP. We hope to appeal to a sense of reason about how neighborhood planning best practices are implemented in the city. It's good to hear that we're going to have a holdover. We look forward to helping facilitate that conversation. The residents that live on Lee Street did ask that we seek a denial of this for the purposes of that there were no community consultations, so it's good to hear that we're going to enter into that process. We hope that one of the other 5 zoning designations in which warehouses are allowed in the city, which are B3, B4, B5, I1, and I2 are considered. The closest residential home is less than 400 feet from this warehouse. The furthest is less than 750 feet. So neighboring properties include I-2 to the north, I-2 to the west, R1 to the east, I-1 to the south, and R1 to the southwest. And we look forward to having the conversations with the developer. We also just want to flag that we have sought some type of organized process with the city about these non-conforming uses, which are very prolific in the Africatown planning area. Since 2019, we provided lots of guidance about our concerns to the city through the Unified Development Code process. We've identified each one with detailed information about the current occupants, how it's a non-conforming use, and have basically been begging for some type of public or some type of facilitated process. So we're not dealing with endless adversarial public meetings like this. We want to be in conversation with the developers, and that's the interests of the residents that I work with, including E.J. Horn on Lee Street, Jim Gallery on Lee Street, the other folks that signed our petition in support of the denial in Africatown, the residents themselves, Walter Moore, Ruth Ballard, Felice Harris, and others that we represent in our interests. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else present? If not, this public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing today is a public hearing to declare the structures public nuisances or in fixing the costs of said structures for demolition. Structures at 1001 Barber Drive East, 502 Stanton Road, 1021 Somerville Street, 1064 Wood Alley, 1632 Prairie Avenue, 1268 St. Meter Street, 1800, also known as 1808 Halls Mill Road, 4770 Campanella Drive South, 5630 Hunter Street, 5661 King Street, 5620 Perry Road, 2558 Kreitner Street, 962 High Point Drive West, 2710 Ralston Road, 7362 Andrew Walker Court.
These are the public hearings for these particular properties. Is there anyone here to address the council on any of these properties? Yeah, come on down.
I'm here to speak about the property at 1064 Wood Alley.
Yes,
I live on the east side of Wood Alley. This property is a nuisance. We have a dice game that's out in front of it every evening from 3 in the evening until they get tired of holding the lights on their cell phones. We have just about every major player dealing drugs that's there the first part of the month. on this site. The property is owned by M&B Realtors. We have called them with nothing but negative feedback when we asked, can you, before the house got burned, can you board this property up? Can you do something about it? Will you cut the lot? Never, never were they willing to work with the people in the community. Please do something about this property. Please do something about these drugs that are there. Please do something about this dice game. You have people there from Viger High School students who are shooting dice all the way up until, I think the oldest member I see around there is about 75 or 80 years old. It is a nuisance. We're asking for your help. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here present to speak on these public hearings?
Mr. President.
Ms. Richardson.
I would just like to say to the young lady just spoke, we can't do anything about drugs and dice, but the house is coming down.
If anyone else? If not, these public hearings are closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Charlie McCants. I did them all. I read them all. Yes. Yes.
Mr. Inez was out of the room when we called. He had met with me earlier about hour 5. Can we let him?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to open it back to hearing.
Yeah.
It's an
Public
agenda
hearing.
item.
Okay.
Yeah, this will open up the public hearing regarding the 962 High Point Drive. Please state your name and your address, sir.
Yeah, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Celso Inez. I'm here on behalf of Malik Properties. This gentleman right here is with me. The reason I am here is this property was foreclosed back in May of 2021. We were the successful bidders at the courthouse steps. So our goal is to buy it, renovate it, and sell it. And so what's happened since then is we've gotten a letter from the City of Mobile saying that we owe $10,175 for supposedly some work that the City of Mobile started in June of 2020 and now just finished here in June of 2021. So a year later, we're getting a notice about a $10,000 bill. I'm not saying that we should not pay or should pay, but my question to the City of Mobile is, we'd like for the hearing to be reset, and we'd like to know an itemized list of everything that was done for that $10,000 so we can question whether it was not. We have pictures when we purchased it in May of 2021, and we are in a process of trying to renovate it and get everything done that's necessary. I've got pictures of when we bought it, and then I've also got copies of the auctioneer's deed where we do own it. And more than anything is that, again, we just need an itemized list of what was done for this $10,175 so we can question it if it's really legit that we should do so. Gary Jackson with the City of Mobile put the list pendings of record, so it did notify everybody. But also the bid price was $112,000 and we were successful for $145,000. So there's an overage there of $33,000 that the auctioneer received. And I'm not saying that the bank may be entitled to more or less, but there is an overage there. So if the city is entitled to something like that, we'd like to find out where did that overage go so that the person that lost it, there's a list pendings that was done for that issue. So we'd like to just kind of reset the hearing and see what we're up against.
Mr. Day, would you like Mr. Jackson to respond, or?
So I can help you with this, Mr. President.
Okay.
So to distinct what they're asking, so it wouldn't be the hearing that got set over. What you would do is you're going to look at 40915, which is actually the fixing of the cost. But in order for the city to get its money back, that's what we would have to do, is actually fix the cost.
Yeah, but his timeline, I think he was asking about the timeline for a whole year process and one like itemized listing. I know we can't reset the public hearing, I mean, that's today.
Right.
But as far as his timeline, et cetera.
So if you all want to hold 40915 over, that may give us some time to talk about it. But it does take it takes a great deal of time for us to, one, declare a public nuisance, mobilize our people, go out, and you understand, as you see so many of these listed today, they're being done in batches, and you all are doing this on a regular basis, and it does take considerable amount of time, not only to get the work done, but to get it back to you. So today is just fixing costs, but the work has been done already. But if you want to give them a week so we can talk and go back and forth, we'd like to be able to give him the process, give him not only our process, but give him what he's asking for, so we can recover the city's money from the proper payor. We don't want to find somebody who's not supposed to pay us.
Yeah, Mr. Williams.
I just have, first of all, have a question to the staff, and just do by raising hand. Is this building demolished now? Is it gone?
Negative. It's a great house, and it's going to be totally, it was not demolished. It had some issues, but nothing that, that money can't fix to make it in a really nice area.
I hear you, Mr. Nez, but and the staff, usually when we fix costs on demolition, it is after demolition is completed. Is this not the case this time?
Not at all. Please come take a look at it.
Okay, let me hear from the staff, Celso, if you don't mind. I know you got pictures from when you bought it. That was a year ago, or 6 months ago. Let's hear from the staff real quick, and then we'll come back to a question.
Sure.
If you don't mind. Sorry, Joel, I don't jump in here, but I think the building might be gone.
Gary Jackson, Municipal Enforcement Program Coordinator. The property at 962 High Point Drive West was a securing. We secured the property in regards to the scope of work that the contractor was given.
Okay.
Was to install polycarbonate panels on windows and elevations, secure all doors and openings of the dwellings, repair all eaves, gables, and fascial boards, replacing rotten wood, patch and repair all holes and openings in the roof. There was a large oak tree that was demolished and grind out the front of the property, patch and repair all holes, openings of the roof as well, and prime, prep, and paint all sidings of the exterior eaves and overhang. Clean all lots of debris, items on the lot, and clear the property.
Damn.
That was the scope of work for the securing. Thank you.
Mr. Aldridge.
Council, two things. The resolution and all was talking about demolition.
Yeah.
And number two, the issue he raised about the overage on the foreclosure and all that is not something the city has any interest in or can do anything about, for that matter.
Mr. Williams, are you finished?
So the resolution saying demolition doesn't really mean demolition. Are there others that mean secure too? Usually we'll say that.
Usually say secure.
It'll usually say something different on these.
But all the documents on here are just talking about demolition. So
that's up to Joel, what you want to do.
Start over as far as the submission of the resolution.
Why don't we do as Mr. Woods has suggested and hold it over a week?
Okay.
See if they can work it out.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir.
Is there a resolution?
We're going to hold it over for 1 week.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Is anyone else present? If not, this public hearing is closed.
So, presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Charlie McCants.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Charlie McCants, 1114 Spring Hill Avenue, 36604. The reason why I'm here is I'm the owner of the Mobile Jesters ABA basketball team here in Mobile. We didn't play last year, but we're gearing up to come back this season. We started here in Mobile in 2013. Our objective when we came was to provide affordable entertainment for the Mobile community, along with give young men that's out in the street with nothing to do an opportunity to live their dream of playing professional basketball. We're getting ready for this coming season. We will be playing season opener on 13 November, which is our season opener. First game is on the 6th of November in Pensacola. But for that opening day game, we want to invite the council and the city out to support this. One of the things that we're going to be doing at that game is honoring all veterans because of Veterans Day being in the month of November. We'll be honoring them and celebrating them. In addition to that, our community initiatives is made up of several different things. One of the things that we want to do this year is we want to honor at least 4 organizations, nonprofit or organizations within the community, to acknowledge them for the great effort that they are putting forth in the community, because a lot of them put forth great effort but never get recognized for the things that they do to improve the Mobile community. In addition to that, we will be giving each group 30 tickets that they can either sell or give to their organization to come out and support the team. As a part of our community initiative, one of the things we'll be doing, we partnered with a Angels and Doves out of Chicago, who is a organization that deals with bullying, and we also have what we call baskets for books to encourage kids to read. In addition to that, we've partnered with an organization called GEN, Gospel Industry Network, to give young artists within the community the opportunity to use our platform as a way to showcase their creativity. This year, we also will be created a Coach's Corner, where we want to recognize people within the community as part of our Who's Who, to give them recognition for what they are doing in the community as well. We just invite the community as a whole to come out to our games. You can go to our website, mobilegesturesllc.com. All the information about our season, along with schedules, are there. And once again, we like to invite everybody in the community to come out and enjoy a great game of basketball.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. McCants, for coming down. And again, thank you so much for all the hard work that you have done and is doing in our community. Do you have the information, do you have it on PDF also? If you all can just forward that PDF to the city clerk office, we can probably possibly put that in our newsletters.
We can do that.
And again, we thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Before I came into the building, in the parking lot, I was speaking with the elderly white man, and he shared this thought with me. He said, the world is becoming evil and dangerous, not because of evil people, but because of good people not speaking and acting. Mr. Vice President, members of the council, to our mayor, glad to see you still here. To the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good afternoon. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I'm going to do my best to press through these matters with 180 seconds. Starting with 21933, the preventive maintenance and repairs for the efforts that may not be such a priority momentarily. I just want to see the same enthusiasm for matters in a similar proactive fashion towards smooth sailing in our streets, less fatal catastrophes in our neighborhoods. 21-931. Seeing that this is the second time such an item has appeared before council, I would like to see us in the same fashion acquire consulting contracts which afford lessons on positive conflict resolution within the city, in our city limits. This is worthwhile coaching with holistic living purpose. Looking at 09-927, what is, and this is on the $30 million piece, what is the available capital for the unassigned fund balance in the general fund? I may be the only one that's unaware of an unassigned fund balance before the public. I think it'd be imperative for us to know how are these resources tabulated and what are its normal uses. Looking at 07923, the $55 million on the multifamily housing revenue bonds, I really want us to have a little more time for the public to walk through this process, because what I just heard today was that only $200K was going to the city out of the $55 million. Maybe I misinterpreted that, but I'd like for us to see some clarity on that. 01922, I'm going to speak with Representative Bracy on that. Hopefully entertain my questions directly, just for time's sake. I'll probably have to come back and address the other ones, but I wanted to get to the 64026, the zoning. I wanted to sit back and listen to what the public had to say before I left my comments. I'll sum it up this way. If all of the conditions for zoning are not labeled conditional, that is dangerous. And let me give you the example why I feel that way. We have an exceptional option in which it will go to an appointed board for appealing. That, as we've seen for the past several months, we've had people put on these boards and commissions. They may not have the interest of what an elected council member has. And so we could still not be catering to the needs and the desires of the people. So if we are not allowing every zoning matter to come before planning and then to this council, that is dangerous. I don't care who is in the administration. So with the exceptional option, they say that we'll have a appointed board by the council to respond. But that could be someone who is not in the elected position now and does not share the interests of the community. So I hope we consider that when we take this matter up. And I want to thank Director Biko and Attorney Rossler for their input on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry Mitchell regarding Resolution 09896.
Good morning, Terry Mitchell, 117 West Halley Court. The transfer of funds to animal services is a good start. However, I trust that this council in the future will adequately fund animal control. Just to give you an example, Huntsville and Gulfport, which have similar populations to Mobile, their animal control budgets are over $2 million. And both of those cities have less overpopulation of their animals than Mobile does. So while this is a good start, I hope that in the future you adequately fund this department. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Ordinance is held over. 64026, ordinance to amend and restate Chapter 64 of the City Code zoning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Rich.
Okay, that's the first I'm hearing that we're going to hold it over for 3 weeks, and obviously means there'll be council members not here, but no opportunity for the new council members to make any changes because of them just getting to their seats. And I do believe, as Ms. O'Keefe adequately said, let's turn this over to the new council. There's 4 coming. That's a majority. It's a simple majority, but it's a majority of newcomers, and that's something that means a lot, I believe, to the community. in the sense that there are retirements and unfortunately a death, but newcomers are coming. And there's an opportunity for them to review, and they will be the owners of this over their tenure, their term. The other thing is that I will not vote in favor. We have been told over and over again that we are ready to vote, and now to hold it over at the last minute, but still to proceed with what was advertised, which in my opinion is adequately less than perfect. Everyone says we can't get everything perfect. Well, yeah, only God is perfect, so I understand that. But there are so many flaws that our attorney that we hired as a council has given us the report on, and we trusted her counsel. She did not tell us or recommend things to us. She pointed out problems that were never addressed. And I have more that I'd like to say if we're going to vote on this, but if this is my time to talk about it, then I guess I should proceed. So if you'll give me the floor, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I've had questions in regards to, this started out as a huge community process. We met with over 500 people coming out initially with the map of Mobile, with the understanding that our codes were archaic and it was time to change them, to look at the future. We are losing residents, and one of the reasons we lose residents is because their quality of life is often put at risk with their investments in their neighborhoods. It doesn't matter if you're in Sandtown or if you're in Cottage Hill or in Sugar Creek or Regency or in Spring Hill, your number one investment is your home. Your quality of life is essential to your wanting to invest in this city. There are so many flaws in the R1. To start, we have changed regulations. We call it R1, but we're not advertising that there are changes, like that you can build an accessory building in your backyard by right in R1. That's a huge change. How many Mobilians are aware of that their neighbor could come down and get building permits for an entirely different building and become multifamily, so to speak? We say it's a mother-in-law suite, which is a great term because we're looking at density and an aging population, but we put no regulations on it, and we put no ability for neighbors in a community to come down and discuss and mitigate what could be a very negative thing in their backyard. We get this with just sheds. Can you imagine having someone have a living environment that is in your backyard? That in itself is a huge change and deserves to be advertised as such. We have the group home situation with the attitude that the federal government mandates us take care of ADA and disabled people, or to make sure that there are affordable and homes available. But guess what? Cities normally take control of how these are put into the community. They put regulations, safety regulations, number of bedrooms, how many people can actually be in the square footage of the home. Is it owner occupied? Will it be a commercial or a profit center for somebody? These are things that really affect a neighborhood. Another thing is that if we continue to just say everything is the R1, B1, and B2, as we've known it for all these years, and the regulations have changed, then those have all gone way past people. They're not aware of it. COVID happened during the most important time of this document, where people could not gather up. And we were under regulations, even for ourselves, not to meet in person. So that we are taking a document that is 56 years old, or however old it is, and putting it into what we say is new and futuristic and great progress. That's just not true. It is not true. We are calling things the same but changing them. We're allowing developers to come down and pick up permits without any knowledge to their neighbors or to their abutting property. This is the time where we had an opportunity to make Mobile shine and to really put forward an understanding that your home is your castle, so to speak, and it doesn't matter what the price point is. It shouldn't just be Spring Hill that gets the regulations that protects them. It should be all over the city. We should look at areas and give them the classifications they deserve. Mobilians sat down with this understanding initially, and it completely changed. We had a technical group that came forward, and they sat at the table. I was promised that neighborhoods would be also at the table. That never happened. That never happened unless a council person was working with the planners that came to town. And then the out-of-town planners left. I don't know if phone calls were made. My office was not made aware that that person was available. I couldn't pass them along to neighborhood presidents to also work with them to help develop the map that would affect the district that I represented. It is not time to vote for this. With putting COVID aside, we could take time and this community could gather up again. We had one meeting as a whole council a couple of weeks ago, and there was no public input. A few of the council members had met with the attorney on the administrative side and went through certain aspects of what would be allowed by right and took it off of the right side of the aisle and put it in that it would require coming up to council if you wanted to appeal it, okay? So that was a relatively good change, but it was only the beginning of what needs to be changed. I'm going to take the advice of the attorney that this council hired and tell you that this is flawed. This is ripe for legislation and, for legal counsels to come in and claim that it was not well advertised, it was not well understood. Why can't my client do this? This is what you do over here. When you talk about changes of zoning that require a community hearing or a community meeting, there's only one aspect of that report that's made, and that's the applicant makes the report. And I know that was criticized, and it was asked by residents out in 6. Can't the people that went to the meeting also have a report that's submitted? And that was denied. It's the applicant that makes the report. How is that not one-sided? Why is that the only document that comes up with the application? That's not right. There are changes and things that have got to happen if we're going to keep residents in our city, or people will keep leaving. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I blame zoning. You have crime issues, but zoning is right up there with it for making people not want to invest in your city. You have zoning, crime, and education, none of which right now we're doing well. And that's why Mobile continues to lose. And we will continue to lose unless we take seriously not the fact that some people got what they wanted, other people didn't. This is an opportunity to create the city that people want. We've got to do it. This is our chance, and now that some are leaving, leave it to the people that will be coming here new. Please do that. So I can't vote to lay it over for 3 weeks at all.
Mr. Chair?
One second, Council. Ms. Gregory?
Ms. Rich, did I hear you say, though, that you would be willing to lay it over to give to the new group? 3 weeks is just not long enough, correct? How about 2 months?
I think that if right now, this one that has been advertised is flawed, And they need to start with something. They've got the document. They need to have meetings. They need to get in touch with their constituents. And this, there were some of you that were so interested. The minute it came up from the Planning Commission, you were ready to vote. Okay? I mean, I think there's a lot of examples of that. It was, let's just do this. It's not perfect, but we're going to do this. We owe this back. We don't owe this back. It's theirs. That's true. It's exactly that. And I just don't think that why did we hire an attorney? I know there was criticism that it wasn't enough or she hadn't produced enough. She produced a document that said these are errors. And if there are errors, why is this council letting this go? Why? You will be here. Some of you will be here. But this has got to stop where it is and get re-advertised in a much better condition. And so therefore, if you want to just hold it over, they're going to inherit it, and they're new, and they're not going to have time. They're not going to feel a part of it. Just like most of the citizens, I think, are not a part of it because of COVID. I think that was a natural that just completely evaporated people coming and being part of this document. And it's all about them and their quality of life.
Well, Mr. Chair,
It's Ms. Gregory.
just to continue on this discussion, if we lay over this particular version and it goes to the new council so that they can own it, and there are amendments, which there could be, certainly, then that means the whole thing has to be re-advertised. So there is that option, and I know there are some things in there that we want to look at. So I think that is an option. It is a compromise to lay over for at least 2 months, could be longer, whatever the will of the council, and then we just continue working on it.
One second, Mr. Days. Mr. Williams. You mumbled something first before Mr. Richardson. Just trying to be fair.
There's no telling what I mumbled over here.
I heard it.
I think, I simply think that there's not a need, that this body's perfectly aware, that is, are perfectly able and will be likewise once that new council takes their seats on November 1st, to work through this process with the administration, with our attorneys, with everybody listening, talking to us. We really don't need another recommendation by the Planning Commission. With all respect given to those guys who volunteer their time, I just don't see the advantage or benefit of going back to the Planning Commission. And if we don't hold this over, and if we don't vote in affirmative, one of the two, then it goes back to the Planning Commission. And there's nothing to gain by that. And so my only deal, 3 weeks, I just threw that out there for discussion. We'll make it 6 months. It doesn't matter. Whatever we believe is enough time to get the new council an opportunity at this. I will tell everybody listening, I wanted to send this to the new council from Jump Street.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that I believe that they ought to own. And so whatever is agreeable, let's find it. I mean, this council's always found something that's agreeable, whether or not it's 2 months or it's 3 months. Let's find that amount of time, and I'll amend my motion, and let's give it to the new council to make the changes, because I do believe there's new changes to be made. I am not arguing that at all. And I think there's nobody on this council that believes that there are no changes to be made, that are important changes, that are critical changes that were pointed out by many of our citizens. But let's not drop the momentum. Let's keep the ball with the city council, because ultimately it's coming back to us anyway.
Yeah.
And we're not going to like it in its entirety anyway. So let's keep it. Let's keep the ball in our court. And by doing so, whatever is agreeable, I'll vote for whatever that we can that we can agree on. 3 months will be fine.
Why don't we do 3 months?
9 months? 6 months?
Hold on, council.
Thank you.
Mr. Richardson and Mr. Days.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city council is the only body of leaders that was elected to protect the citizens out there in these residential communities. The highest form of zoning is R1. It's residential. It's residential. It's the highest form. In any other classification is to protect people living in the residential community. Any I1, B1, whatever it is intended to protect. The reason we created it is to protect that group or that business or whatever it is from harming people who live in the residential communities. Now, we've had a list of speakers, most of them from businesses. That's the purpose of zoning, is to protect you all from them. That's what zoning, that's why we wouldn't even need zoning had it not been for the residential community. In anything we do, if it harms people living in the residential communities, then I'm not voting for it. Because my job is to protect citizens living in the residential communities. Now, I lived in Hickory Ridge for 10 years. In Hickory Ridge, there could not be a detached building. Otherwise, you can have your garage behind your house. It must be attached to the house. You can't have no shed for your tools behind your house. It must be attached to your house. Nothing detached in all of Hickory Ridge. Well, what we got before us today, if your lot is big enough, you can you can build a house behind your house. You can rent it out, and you can move out the one you're in and rent that one out. You know what you would be doing? Bringing the neighborhood down. You can't do that today. You can't do that today. So why are we creating something that's going to harm those people? Let me tell you about residential. Most people, the biggest investment they're going to make in their lifetime is in the home that they purchase. They're not going to have an investment bigger than that. And if we can't sit up here and protect their investment, we need to leave. I'm not voting for it because it allows intrusions. It's allowing them to build whatever they want to build. I'm not going to vote for that. And then we got special zones, special districts. The Village of Spring Hill, the Peninsula, Africa Town. And 10 years ago, we told them the only reason we permit those special districts is that they have optional zoning, that you're not going to ram anything down anybody's throat. Well, it's back before us now. We don't want optional zoning. They're going to do what we say or they won't build nothing. I can't find anybody in any of those districts to tell me that optional zoning harmed anybody in the last 10 years. I'm for getting rid of it. 20 people were harmed with that optional zoning. One person was harmed. Not one. It's what they want. And the day we're talking about, they don't own no businesses. We're talking about businesses. The one who want us to change this, they don't own the first business. They want to control the businesses. I can go on and on. I'm voting no. to protect the people living in our residential communities from all the other zones.
Mr. Davis?
What's before us is a motion to hold it over. So I'm not going to speak to the merits of it. I would move to amend Mr. Williams' motion to make it 3 months instead of 3 weeks.
I'd second.
We have a motion and a second in a discussion on that. And this is on 3 months
3 months.
in the discussion.
Yes, I have a comment. If that's permissible.
Sure it is.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. I can assure you the administration will work with the new city council to give them all the information we have. If they want to incur and have, whatever information they would want, we will reach out and do everything we can to educate them, sharing whatever documents, whether it's the previous city council attorney's documents, our answers, but we will work hand in glove with them to try to move this process forward. And I'm sure that you'll be talking to them to tell them your concerns, which they can, carry with them.
And again, we are voting on to amend Mr. Williams' motion from 3 weeks to 3 months.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I think I've made it clear from almost the very beginning of this process when it was handed to council, the concerns and the information. At one time, I was chair of the subcommittee. It then moved to the entire council, which, was a choice of council. But we didn't hold public hearings. We had one meeting that people came down and all these same concerns were still very present. We have the document from our attorney that is exceedingly capable of giving us very good recommendations, very good advice, did not tell us how to vote, did not tell us how to write issues or things, just basically went through the document as was presented, tried to meet with the administration, and didn't always get a welcome mat, even though representative of the council should have. It doesn't matter to me that this has to start at the Planning Commission. I'm all about transparency. I'm all about seeing it get better. And that's the way I would view my vote. I'm helping to make this get better. It needs to be better. It is terribly flawed.
Again, we are voting on Mr. Williams'
Davis' amendment
to the motion from 3 weeks to 3 months. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, that's 4-2. Going back to the original. Any
Mr.
discussion?
Vice President.
Mr. Mayor.
In light of that, I would like to withdraw the ordinance and my support of it from consideration.
Okay. That's his prerogative.
That's your turn.
Mr.
How is it?
Archers, can you?
All right, so the law on that is an ordinance has to have a sponsor, and whoever sponsors it can withdraw their sponsorship. A normal ordinance, if you withdraw your sponsorship or whatever happens to it, can be brought up, whenever you want to. On this zoning code, however, there's the current zoning code talks about how it can be amended, but all it really says is that the zoning code has to be published and have a public hearing on that, which has happened today. So it can be withdrawn, and it's just going to be kind of sitting there in limbo, is what I think.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
It can be withdrawn, and it's just going to be sitting there in limbo.
So in other words, we just move to the next agenda item?
Yeah, on this agenda, yes, sir.
Okay. Could I ask more questions?
She can't ask questions.
Sure.
Right? Then Ms. Rich, Mr.
Okay.
Ms. Rich, then Mr. Richardson.
When you say on this agenda, does that mean it can be bought back in its entirety?
could.
Under the same sponsorship?
Different number.
Are we, as a council, required to accept that withdrawal? No. Or do we move forward with a vote?
It says the council or the mayor can sponsor. So whoever sponsors it can withdraw their sponsorship.
I'm in 100% agreement with Mr. Arledge.
Hold on, Mr. Woods. Ms. Rich, are you finished?
No, because I'm not getting to the bottom of what can transpire with just a withdrawal, because that's not the intent that my office would like to make with this public hearing and then voting for it.
He can put it back on next week if he changes his mind.
So if I was to offer to sponsor
as long as no
it,
words are changed.
right, but I could offer to sponsor exactly as what was advertised and what this public hearing was about? And keep it on the table? To keep it on the table?
I think anybody can sponsor it or not sponsor it.
I'd like to do that.
Hold on, Mr. Richardson. Ms.
I
Rich?
offer to do that.
Say what, Ms. Rich?
I offer to sponsor, to keep it on the table so that it cannot be brought back in the condition as advertised.
So here's the problem.
Hold on, Mr. Woods. Ms. Rich, are you finished?
Yes.
It'll be Mr. Richardson, and we're here for Mr. Woods.
Yeah. Only this matter is now, I'm going to wait because I want our attorney to hear what I say.
I'm sorry.
Okay. This matter is it's on the council agenda, it's before the council. The mayor can't make no motion.
That's true.
He's not up here. He can't transact council business. So what he can't make no motion to withdraw. He can say what he want to say. This council business, we're transacting council business, not administrative business, and it's on our agenda. And if all what they say fails, it's back to what it originally is. We're going then a motion before us. That's moot. What he's trying to do is too late for that. It's on our agenda. It's before us.
It's been on the
He can't offer no motion to do anything with it, and we can't offer nothing to do with what they doing in the administration. He can't interfere in what we're doing. He's a guest here. He can't make no motion to do nothing. So we need to move on because it's before us, and we're going to.
All the rule says is it's got to have a sponsor. It doesn't say what happens after that.
If one is on here, and he can't officially take it off.
I don't think there's no provision that says he can't.
There's just not a rule covering the total.
I never heard of
totality
this.
Situation.
We've never dealt with
It just says
this.
it's got to have a sponsor.
I'll sponsor it.
You finished, Mr. Archer?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Mr. Richardson, you
Sponsor it,
finished?
so I'm offering to sponsor it. That keeps it on the table.
Hold on, Ms. Rich. You finished, Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
So thank you, Mr. Vice President. So everything that Mr. Arledge said is correct. That's just the way the law is written. If you remember, what actually happened was this council changed the ordinance to require that there be a sponsor. And either the mayor or a council member can do that. And take no issue with what any councilman has said. Just understand that Mr. Arledge is right, but once that sponsorship is withdrawn, there's no sponsor.
He has a sponsor. I'm one.
Hold on, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And the second thing is...
Next.
I don't disagree with Fred and Bess either.
Mr. Aldridge. So, Ms. Rich and Mr. Richardson is willing to sponsor, if that's possible.
There's no time limit on it, so.
There ain't anything that says they can't.
Okay, so it's still on the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any discussion, council?
Yes, Mr. Vice President.
Hold on, Mr. Woods. Any discussion, council?
We're voting on the motion to lay over, right?
No, that was denied.
No, the amendment was denied. We're voting on the 3-week layover.
You're going back to the 3 weeks. Yeah. Any discussion? Mr. Woods, you had something?
So I just want to make note for the record, 2 things. One is this item only had one sponsor when it came to the agenda on Thursday. Just want to make that note. 2, that either the mayor or any member of the administration, and I appreciate your taking the time out, but any administration can discuss any issue under 1144C86. So So the mayor, by state law, has a right to be here. He's not a guest. And so that is what gives him the right to withdraw the sponsorship. I just want to make those 2 points, and I do appreciate you for taking out time to listen.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes, sir. My response to that is, any citizen has a right to be here. All of you have a right to be here, the mayor too. But you all are our guests. This is a business meeting. But the other thing is, we have our own attorney here to advise us. We don't need no advice from the administration. Our attorney has already advised us on what to do. We need no sidebar. We got an attorney sitting right here facing.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Williams.
First of all, I think actually the mayor's required to be here by law. It's not. Oh, yes. You gotta go back and look at it. But we also, on the council, have a responsibility to transact city business. And if we have something that we don't like about something that's here, we have the ability to make amendments. And I would challenge those who simply say no to offer their amendments. Any reasonable amendment will be supported by this office. So let's continue. Give us your amendments, and let's re-advertise, and let's move on.
Hold on, Mr. Richardson. We still in discussion. Mr. Mayor.
You know, it is a complicated issue, especially from a parliamentary procedure, but it appears to me that by withdrawing my support of it, that if there's going to be someone else step up and support it, does it not need to be done before this coming Thursday for next week's agenda if they want to do that? And that's a question I'm asking to your council.
It's our rules, right?
All the rule says is it's got to have a sponsor. It doesn't say when the sponsor goes or doesn't go or any of that. So it's unprecedented.
Okay.
But, quick question.
Mr. Gregory, Mr. Richardson, then Ms.
No,
Gregory.
I'm just saying I'm responsible.
Okay, Ms. Gregory.
I think maybe the question is, does it have to have a sponsor when it appears on the agenda? Not once it's there and is withdrawn.
Well, it doesn't go into that level of detail.
Yeah,
Just
it doesn't go into that sort of detail, so we're kind of in a gray area here, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to pose, and this
Hold
is
on,
why.
Mr. Woods. Hold on. Finish, Mr. Woods.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Woods.
So Mr. Arledge is correct. Once again, you've got these issues, but you do have practical parliamentary procedure. And here's what the mayor's alluding to. Under the city ordinance, it must have a sponsor before it goes on the agenda. That's the ordinance. The mayor withdraws his sponsorship. It automatically no longer has a sponsor. Before, now if Ms. Rich or Mr. Richardson had added beforehand, you might agree that it stays on. But once he withdraws, then it automatically, as soon as he says that, has no support, and therefore can't go forward. Yes, on the agenda, but you have an action item with no sponsor at that moment. Does it not, under practicality, under procedural methods, then say that you have to then, either one, if it comes off, have to have 3 people to add it? That's the president and 2 other people. Because how can it technically go forward, even if it is a matter of seconds? If it has no sponsor at that moment, how can it go forward?
Mr. President.
Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Woods' logic is full of sounding fury, signifying nothing. If a mayor can take his off, I can put mine on. And we've already had our attorney to say, we can put it on. So he's trying to, what they're trying to do is stop it from doing, they don't want it to come to a vote. And you manipulate and maneuvering around so it won't come to a vote. Okay, the mayor was bold enough to say he's not going to sponsor. I will be one. It's been it that I can't sponsor until tomorrow. I can't sponsor the next week. It's not in the rules. None of that is in the rules. That's logic. He's trying to apply some logic to us. They're dealing with logic. It's time to vote.
If I could comment.
Ms. Rich.
The sponsor, which very clearly and certainly has every right, from its very inception, as soon as it came up to council, supported everything as it was originally written, asked this council to vote in its affirmative, and therefore by now, as Mr. Richardson has spoken to, saying that it gets removed, that to me just seems like a ploy to continue what a lot of people in this community see as flawed, not in their best interest, and does not sustain neighborhoods. So I think that this needs to go back to the drawing board. I have no trouble going back to the commission, the planning commission, their recommendation, and because they'll be privy to all of this and all of the angst that has been explained about why it needs not to be voted in affirmative today. And amendments, yes, they could happen, but I won't be there. It's going to be the next council to oversee it. That we're right at the cusp, and the timing of this to just remove it, I've never seen this before. This could become something that's constantly done when something is not going in the vote in favor, to just remove it and then wait till there is a chance to get it passed. It's wrong. This is just totally incorrect. And I've never witnessed this, and I will not be a part of it. But I'll be happy to sponsor this, to keep it on the table where it belongs, and then vote in opposition.
Mr. President, I'll be through with this. The council made it clear that any item dealing with neighborhoods that is placed on this agenda must have a council member to sponsor it. This one came on with just the mayor sponsoring it. You just had the mayor. You got 6 other council members. None of us as a sponsor. So it would have had another sponsor anyway if it followed the rules.
Roger.
It didn't follow the rules. We ended up with one sponsor.
That's our own fault.
Okay, so that sponsor pulled out. We got 6 council members, and 2 of them saying they are sponsoring. You pulling out, we pulling in. Let's go. If you pull out, we pulling in.
Mr. Williams.
One more time, I'm just going to ask for amendments. Offer your opposition. Offer the amendments. Let's be, we're talking no, but that's the problem I had with our attorney. And look, I like Ms. Cochran. I know it may shock some people in the room, but I really do, and I appreciate her work. But my only problem with it, you can say no all day, and you can find problems with things all day. If you're not doing something to fix it, the planning commission is not going to help us. The new council can put as much sunshine on this as they care to, but it is unnecessary. The planning commission already saw it, already heard all these arguments, and already made all the changes they're going to make. They gave it to us, and they said it's ready to go.
Change it.
It's not going to change by turning it back to them. Let's give it to the right people. It's in the hands of the council. Let's keep it in the hands of the council. Either hold it over or make your amendments, which would essentially do the same thing. Because
let us vote on it.
Hold on, Mr. Richardson.
I didn't hear his comment. I'd like to hear
Call
it.
for the vote.
If he'd have waited until I was through talking, I would have listened to him. Go ahead. Let's hear it. What'd you say?
Council, we can all just be on one accord. Let's go ahead and vote on Mr. Williams' amendment for 3 weeks, and then it'll take us back to the original.
Amen.
Another discussion about 3 weeks.
There is no original motion other than that one, so it'll take us back to the agenda item.
Yes, sir.
Roger.
3 weeks. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Okay, that's 4-2.
All right, now we're back to the original. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
No, that was the original.
I mean,
Not a discussion.
Oh, that's right. No, we never.
Read the agenda item again.
okay.
I move the agenda item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Days.
The city of Mobile began this process 4 or 5 years ago. There have been 5 versions of this UDC. Been somewhere between 150 or 300 community meetings. It's been posted on the public website, had over 1,000 public comments. We had one speaker today describe it as a model process in terms of public involvement and transparency. The Planning Commission held meetings where they took comment and they recommended adoption. We've had one of the speakers point out that the new code is consistent with what other cities we desire to emulate have done. The essence of successful political enterprise is compromise. If you're unwilling to compromise, if you insist that every piece of legislation comply with what you want it to do, down to the last I dotted and the last T crossed, you're going to oppose everything. You're going to oppose everything. There are elements of this document that's before us that I don't like. There are elements of it that have been supported by other council persons that I don't like. But the only question before us today, is whether this document is better than what we have now. I don't think that starting this process over again is going to cause us to end up with a document that is really very much different. I mean, again, I go back to the 300 meetings that have been held, the thousands of public comments. We're going to go through all that again? Ms. Biko and her team spent months and months and months talking to the various interest groups. And you had the people over here that wanted it this way and the people over here that wanted it this way. And over that period of time, she was able to craft a finely balanced document that no one loves, but most people can live with and feel is better than what we have today. But once you start tipping the scales over here, you're going to lose the people over here. There have been suggested some rather sweeping changes to this document. If those are put in the document, you're going to lose other people that currently support it. The other thing to remember is what we're doing. If we pass this today, someone's not going to go out there and carve it into granite. It's a dynamic document, and it can be amended going forward as we find areas that don't work. But what's happening now is that the forces of reaction are governing the document, the future of the document. You know, it occurs to me often that we go and we take these chamber trips and we go visit other cities, Charleston and Savannah being some of them, but we've gone to others. And every time we go there, we say, why can't we be like this city? Why can't we be like this city? But half the time when we face an opportunity to actually take action, which will allow us to be like that city, we refuse to do it. This document is not perfect, but it's demonstrably better than what we have now, and I support it.
I'll just briefly, the reason why we're not like all of these other cities is because we don't put the money inside neighborhoods. We put it on equipment, police cars. Just watch these agendas and see where the money going. Anywhere but inside the neighborhoods. You're gonna see us take some money from the cruise terminal. It's going to the police department. It ain't going to the neighborhoods because those cities are putting the money where the people are, inside the neighborhoods.
Any other council members?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Gregory.
Thank you. I do want to thank Shayla Biko and all of your staff for all of the work that you did over these many, many years, long hours, all the stakeholders, the individuals, various organizations who came together to work on this. It's been so many years and so much time, so much effort to get all of these people to a position where we can put together a document. I know Shayla and her group have taken in thousands of responses, comments, criticisms, suggestions, you name it. They evaluated all of them. They responded. Now, it might not have been what you wanted to hear, but none of these things that they received, none of the responses they ever received from the community ever fell on deaf ears. It's just a matter of an evaluation, whether it can be done or not, and what is the best path forward. You know, with a no vote today, and it was really obvious from the get-go that this was going to be a no vote. There was some talking about how we could possibly lay it over, give it to the new council, and keep this document in place. But it's obvious this is not going to pass. But what it does is, I'm afraid this really does turn a deaf ear and ignores what's gone forward. You know, and to the point where we have gotten to today. You know, we talked a lot about these overlays and what they mean. The overlays are from community groups and organizations who came together to work with the city to try to better their particular areas. They are specific to areas. And they are one and the same as far as zoning goes. They are part of the whole. You don't pull one out because you don't particularly like some aspects of it. This is a mandatory zoning code, period, end of it. Without these overlays, that also impacts Africatown, the Peninsula, the Historic District, downtown, and of course Spring Hill. All of these areas have specific overlays to help better their communities, and the communities are not in charge. The city is in charge. The city oversees the zoning code. They make the rules. So don't be confused about that. I'm sorry to see this happen. I think, like John said, we knew it would probably happen. He kept saying he would never vote on this. He would never get a chance to vote on it. Well, John, you missed that by a week or so. But it goes down today. The mayor can just reapply, send it back down to the Planning Commission. And as you know, the Planning Commission had already approved it as it was before the council made any changes. So, like John, I don't foresee many changes coming out of the Planning Commission. But it does give the opportunity to the new members of the council to take hold of it and take ownership of it. And I don't think it will take them long to get up to speed and learn about it, work with our staff, work with the organizations to find out any information that they need. I don't want all of the work that we have seen in this city go for naught. I don't think that's fair to anyone. I would have preferred to lay this over for a while, look at possibly some amendments that we could make, which would have caused it to be re-advertised, but that's not going to happen. So again, Shayla and group, mayor, everybody, thank you for what you have done, what you have tried to do, and we will just continue working on this down the road.
Any other council members? I would like to say I do appreciate Ms. Biko and her staff for the many years of work that you all have put into this UDC. And
nothing on this earth is, is perfect, as we already know. But we have to start somewhere. And, even that, you have to have a foundation and just build on the foundation. Of course, we have heard over and over and over that, things in this document is not perfect. And when I had heard and got the word and understanding from the staff that they would go back and and revisit things that are not perfect, especially when things pop up, that they would do it. So that what sold me on going for, voting for the UDC. I heard from different groups the things they want to add into. I heard from some companies things they want to add into it. But again, we have to start somewhere. If this is denied today, this will give the opportunity for the new council to really to look at it and also to listen to their residents, their constituents, and other community groups. And hopefully that, Shayla, this don't take you all the way back to, ground zero, that, this can just be a boost and it just, will go on through the planning commission. But one thing that was brought up, say, why can't we be like other cities? Why can't we be like, Savannah, et cetera? And, our neighborhoods and, money going from the neighborhoods to the police cars and, and fire trucks and et cetera. It's not all about, should blame ourselves, but also blame our, state, elected officials. Because so much money leave Mobile, Alabama every day going to Florida, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee in ways of money and the casinos. But just imagine if, and I'm not a gambler, and I've never played the lottery before, but just imagine all the money that's leaving Mobile, all the money that's leaving Alabama, but just stay here and invest into our city that we can look like a Savannah, that we can also address the neighborhoods. So we won't have people just to try to run over to Baldwin County to the beaches and et cetera. We can continue to invest into our police cars and fire trucks. Just imagine. So we cannot only just blame ourselves, but we also can blame our state elected officials. And yes, I did say it publicly. Again, I do not gamble, but I'd rather have that money in our own city, our own state, than being in surrounding states and cities around us. Anything else from the council? If not,
Mr. Small.
Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Small. So, two questions I want to pose, just in general. One, and we've dealt with this issue as a point of order. Item was withdrawn before it had additional sponsors. That action item will probably come up at some later point, because if that is in fact accurate, then the council is not voting on an item, it's voting on a nullity. The second part of that is, in order to add sponsors, if it was removed from the agenda, then we would be looking to add with 3 votes. I bring those 2 points up because they'll probably come up later. And the third is I want to thank the council for listening, for all the meetings you attended, for everything that you did in conjunction with the staff, and also say, look, this is just what happens, this is what democracy looks like, and so we'll live to be able to focus on another day.
Any other discussion from the council?
We need clarification from our attorney about these questions.
Oh, we're not worried about that. He didn't say nothing. Let's go.
No, I don't want to leave it up in the air.
We can solve what he's saying today.
He's saying that it's nullified, and we're voting on something that's nullified. So does that mean?
I understand their argument and what they're saying. They're saying when the mayor withdraws his sponsorship, it basically vanishes off the agenda. So y'all asked me to make a call, and I'm gonna make a call, and I did make a call. The rule, all it says is it's gotta have a sponsor. Period. If there's some arcane Robert's rule that say if the original sponsor withdraws his sponsorship, I don't know what it is. It may exist, it may not exist. But that's my call, and I'm gonna stick with it whether it's right or wrong.
Let's go.
Any discussion from the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
It fails. Council, do y'all want to take a 5 or 10 minute break?
Let's go on.
Want to go on?
No, keep going.
It's out to one. Madam Clerk?
Okay. Resolutions held over. There are no objections. I'm going to take all of these at one time. Okay. 01879, authorize amendment to the enrollment agreement with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama for third-party administration of the city's health and dental plan and flexible spending accounts. 08880, approve purchase orders, and 08881, approve purchase orders to petroleum traders for fuel for the Wave Transit and for motor pool. 08882, approve purchase order to RPF Emergency Services for tree removal at Mobile Soccer Complex. 09883, appropriate monies from Alabama Municipal Trust Fund to various capital projects. 09884, reallocate monies from capital project vehicle supplement to capital project motor pool fund. 09885, reallocate monies from Convention Center flood protection project to the Innovating St. Louis Street project. 09886, reallocate monies from Gulf Quest Cruise Terminal dock improvements to various capital improvement projects. 18887, determine the necessity for condemnation of property for the widening of McGregor Avenue. 21888, authorize contract with McQuarrie and Williams for design and engineering services, 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail. 21889, authorize contract with Dix Height Partners for design and engineering services, 3 Mile Creek Greenway Trail. 23890, accept deeds from Annie Galloway for right-of-way for the McGregor Avenue widening project. 25891, accept permanent easement from Barbara Glaude for the Canal Street wall repair project. 09896, transfer monies from general fund of the Mobile Police Department support services to animal services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed? It passes.
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 52034 through 64035.
Mr. Vice President,
Ms. Davis.
I move for immediate consideration of item 64035 and the other one to hold over 1 week pursuant to council rules. You wanted to lay that one over for several weeks, didn't you?
Yeah, at least 4 weeks, yeah.
Need a second?
Need a second.
Need
Second.
We have a proper move to second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
64035, rezone property located at 1490 Telegraph Road from R1 to I2.
Move the level for 1 line.
Second. In the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 03897 through 03937.
So moved.
No consent.
Mr. Vice President,
Mr. Davis.
move for consideration of item 03897 through 03937,
With the exception,
with the exception of 4915.
okay,
Right?
yes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk.
03897, appoint Charles Hendry to the Electrical Examiners Board. 31898, authorized grant application with USDA Reinvestment Fund for America's Healthy Food Financing Initiative, no match. 37899, 900, 901, and 902 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for Airport Shell on Airport Boulevard, for issuance of a manufacturer liquor license for Oyster City Brewing on Government Street, for issuance of a retail beer, table wine on off-premises license for Nova Mart on O'Shell Road, Suite A, for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license for La Rumba on Dolphin Island Parkway. 40, 903, 904, 905, 906, 907, 908, 909, 910, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17 are declaring structures public nuisances and fixing the cost for demolition of declaring structures public nuisances and ordering them demolished and fixing the cost for demolition of said structures. 58-918 declare and 919 declaring weeds noxious, weed lien group 1621 and 1622. 46-920 name the basketball court at Herndon Sage Park as the Marion J. Shepherd Herndon Sage Park Outdoor Basketball Court. 46-921 rename Pritchard Avenue between Mobile Street and St. Stephen's Road as Noble C. Beasley Avenue. And 03937 reappoint Bonnie Bates to the History Museum of Mobile Board.
So moved.
Second?
Properly moved and second. In the discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Richard?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I would specifically like to address 46-920, where we will be naming the basketball court at Herndon Sage Park, the Marion J. Shepherd Jr. Herndon Sage Park Outdoor Basketball Court. And we are blessed today to have Marion's wife, Maddie Marsha Shepherd, and that we just stand just for a moment, Maddie. She's been here a long time today. I'm sorry about that. Glad to have you with us today. Marion worked for 50 years with the Parks and Recreation Department. Started in '69 and went to 2019. We were many years members of the Stone Street Baptist Church together, where he was a trustee. Went over to True Vine, where he became an outstanding man, highly worthy of this honor. Looking forward to it, and I was hoping that Shonda Smith is over the Parks and Recreation Department. Her office is 48 Sage Avenue, and I would like for you, go stop by to get with her on what they're going to put up there, because my time is running out. But Shonda Smith is an outstanding person. That's where she is. I will be calling her, but you can stop by and talk to her and let her know who you are, that you're interested in, and when it's going to be, and all of that. And because I would like to be there too. But I want the council to join me in voting to make this resolution a reality. And I also like to say another word is the last one under there is 46-921. It's just a little small section of Pritchard Avenue we're naming Noble C. Beasley Avenue. Noble C. Beasley became a premier human rights leader here in the city of Mobile, fighting for freedom and justice, and he suffered a lot because of that, but we're going to come back and honor him by naming that little small section there. And people contacted me who moved over there recently and say, there are people out of town said, I thought you moved to Mobile. I said, well, I am in Mobile. Well, why are you on Pritchard Avenue? So they said they want the name, the street changed. They don't want to give the impression that they're in Pritchard. So the point is, the people on that street, we put it up to them to agree with us. They're in agreement with us, so we're moving forward on that one too.
And I'd also like to say good afternoon to Ms. Shepherd. Very hard working in our community.
No doubt about
throughout the school systems and the different churches. And again, good to see you, Ms. Shepherd. And anything else from the council? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? It passes. Madam Clerk.
Resolutions being introduced 01922 through 45935.
Said resolutions will hold over 1 week pursuant to council rules.
Okay, all right. I'll call for public hearings. 41936, call for public hearing to consider the vacation of streets in Carondelet Apartments scheduled November 23rd.
So moved.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Call.
Announcements.
Mr. Williams. Ms. Gregory.
Yes, I want to congratulate the Serve It Up with Love Committee for the Child Advocacy Center for receiving the 2021 United States Tennis Association Alabama Charity Event of the Year. So just a big shout out to Elaine Henderson and everybody at Child Advocacy Center and the Serve It Up with Love Committee. Also coming up November 9th, I will be holding a district meeting. You'll be getting postcards in the mail. We are putting together a letter right now to invite members of the administration to attend. Thank you.
Mr. Daves?
No announcements.
Ms. Rich?
Just want to remind people again, because very thankful that there's an event planned at Medal of Honor Park for Halloween, but for the Saturday right before Halloween from 3 o'clock until 9 p.m. And I hope that people will come out and take advantage of all the events that Parks and Recreation and special events are planning. Thanks.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I would just like to announce that on Saturday, October the 23rd, I will be going back to my native home of Nemps, Alabama, the land of hidden giants. We've recently, the state approved a marker for Marty Daniel Taylor in Nemps. Marty Daniel Taylor was born in Nemps in 1912 and became a member of the team that created the atomic bomb right out of Nemps. So we're going back Saturday because we got 2 more state markers we're going to put down Saturday. One for Maggie Taylor Richardson, born in 1803. By 1903, she was postmaster of the Nemps Post Office, and according to the U.S. Postal Service, she became then the first African-American female in the state of Alabama to become postmaster. So we're going back to put her marker down. And Nemps was settled by a slave master, Stephen Decatur Miller, and 13 slaves in 1850. And the 13 slaves were my ancestors. And we're going the state has also put on the state register the Greater Nazarene Baptist Church Cemetery as a historic cemetery. And I'm going to have flags that's red and green. The top of the flag going to say, born a slave. The bottom of the flag is going to say, died free. We're going to put them in every grave where a person was born before 1865. We're going to stick it down all over the cemetery. And we got the chairman of the Alabama State Historical Commission coming to speak to us, and we'll be heading back for more markers. It's the land of hidden giants, and we're going to pull the cover off the giants.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And as we stated earlier, today at 4:00 p.m., inviting all the citizens, especially around the Dolphin Island Parkway, around Maryville Elementary School, to come out to Wash Park. Again, Fox 10 had led a great effort in the community by putting playground equipment into Wash Park. And again, that will be today at 4:00 p.m., the ribbon cutting ceremony. That will be from 4 to 6 p.m., inviting all the residents in that area to please come out today and show your support. And also, I would like to announce that the council will start receiving resumes for part-time judges. The last day to submit your resume to the council or to the clerk office will be November the 3rd at 5:00 p.m. And again, this is for the municipal judges, part-time judges. And I do know that we will be putting a post on our Facebook page, and also we'll be sending information over to the Bar Association, okay? And again, the cutoff day will be November 3rd, 5:00 p.m. for part-time municipal judges. Anything from the council? Administration? You want to tell us about the YES program? And I'm just kidding. Do I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unopposed? Meeting is